Hello, everybody. Please, you're going to make do with this voice because suddenly I'm wondering, my voice decided to sneeze and to back up today. So you're highly sorry for that feedback. So we're highly welcome, everybody. Welcome. And I believe you can hear me. So we'll make do with this voice during this live stream. You are welcome. Whenever it is you join, you catch up from there and you can always catch the replay. I want to be here for just 40 minutes. So I'm going to see how fast we can go through this and then we are done. Welcome, everybody. So let me get a feedback if you can hear me on Zoom. We're live in 3 different places. If you can hear me on Zoom, please let me get a feedback. If you can hear me on StreamYard, let me get a feedback. And if you can hear me on YouTube, let me get a feedback. So we're just going to kickstart so that anybody catching up on the replay, there's not too much wasting of time. So thank you so much for joining. Okay, our topic this time is how to have difficult conversations with your child. Whenever you're joining, just make do with my voice. Whenever it is you're joining, just pardon my voice and try to listen. 40 minutes, we'll be out of here. If we can make it in less than, that'll be a thumbs up for us. Okay? So we're looking at how to have difficult conversations with your child. We realize that there are several times we cannot bypass having these conversations, and they range from different things. But then I've had people buzz me up to say, I don't know how to have that conversation with him, or I don't know how to have that conversation with her. Oh, yes, I can see the comment. My voice, yes, I'm hoping that it comes back pretty soon. But we have to do this. So I've made up my mind that we're doing this today. So we're doing this today. We're not going to postpone it because of this voice. This voice was meant to speak. It was made and created to speak. So it's going to speak. Thank you so much. So I've had several people call me up, several parents saying they don't know how to have this conversation with their child. They don't know how to go about certain conversations. So I decided, okay, let's talk about this finally, because indeed there is a way. And sometimes we feel pretty awkward, right? We feel very awkward when we're trying to have certain conversations, especially when it has to do with the opposite sex or when it has to do with sex education. When it has to do with the loss of a loved one, we are afraid as to how the child is going to take it. So that's why it is necessary that we have this conversation. Sometimes we want to shield them from some of these things, but trust me, there is only as much as we can do. They will finally get a hang of what is going on because they understand our emotions and they really know how to notice and interpret our emotions. Sometimes they misinterpret it, but then other times it is necessary that we let them know. Thanks a lot for the feedback from YouTube. Those of us that have the link for StreamYard, let me know. Zoom, thanks a lot for the feedback. Okay, so we'll go right into it. We're on a countdown. So this is me. In a nutshell, my name is Unwa Diutal. For those that don't know me, easy pronunciation is Coach Unwa. And all of that is me. So if you want to know more, just screenshot it. But one thing that you need to know is that I am a life coach and a psychotherapist, and I work with preteens, teenagers, young adults, and their parents. So I help to bridge the gap that exists between parents and their children. Okay? So let's just delve right in. Why is my slide showing like this? So, what is the role of difficult conversations? Now, you find out that it is necessary that we have these conversations. Why? Because these conversations will actually help, excuse me, when we have these conversations with our children, it helps us demonstrate to them vulnerability and authenticity. And each time we demonstrate these things to them, they are learning how to navigate difficult conversations themselves. That's why it is essential that we have these conversations. Because when you're having these conversations, you yourself, you are being vulnerable. You yourself, you are trying hard to be authentic. So it is necessary that they learn from us how to be vulnerable and authentic. Then it also teaches them to be honest and have empathy. When we go through the slides, we'll be able to understand where honesty comes into play and where empathy comes into play. But having these conversations with our children definitely helps us build resilience in our children. And then, above all, most times, the reason why we want to have these conversations is so that we can address specific issues. But beyond that, most of the roles that these conversations play or should play is to build trust and connection between parent and child. Okay? So conversations that parents see difficult sometimes. Number one on the list. Exactly. When it has to do with sexuality, reproduction, all of that, you find out that parents are like, how am I supposed to do this? It's awkward. I don't know how to start. True. Most times it's very awkward when you're about to start it. But we start anyway. Then when we are navigating family changes or divorce, when there's a separation that is about to take place in a family, sometimes it is difficult for us to have those conversations with our children, especially when they are younger, right? When they are preteens or even before pre-preteens. Yeah, we begin to think and crack our brain. How? How do I have this conversation with my child? Then, when it has to do with substance use or abuse, dealing with bullies and peer pressure, especially if they themselves are the bully, that is the child, especially if they are the bully. Then discussing mental health and emotional wellness, addressing sensitive topics on the news, on the media, then talking about race and identity, we find ourselves wondering, how do I start this conversation? What do I do? How do I go about it? Or even, let me add there, when a child is not doing so well academically, we tend to want to have those conversations also with our children. So that also plays a very deep role in our children, okay, in the lives of our children. So let's move on. Now, reasons why parents actually avoid these conversations. Fear of causing discomfort to the child. So, not wanting the child to be uncomfortable. You know, we always want the best for our children. And when suddenly it's now looking as if, this child is going to be feeling as if, oh, what are we supposed to do? Why is mommy having this conversation with me? Or awkward, why is daddy having this conversation with me? So because we want the best for our child, we don't want them being uncomfortable, then we are afraid of having these conversations. Number two, lack of confidence. Either we are clueless on that topic. So how do I go about it if I myself, I know nothing about the topic? So either we are clueless about the topic, We do not know anything about the topic. So how do I proceed when I know nothing on the topic? So, or sometimes we're not so confident that our emotion will not set in, especially when it is trying to deal with a specific issue. That is when we know that our child or our children have done something wrong. So we are not so confident that we will not give in to our emotions in handling the situation. And next, the desire to protect. Always, we have this desire to wanting to protect them. Then to avoid conflict. We just don't want to. I don't want to do this. Don't make me do this. I don't want a fight. I don't want there to be an uproar, or I don't want the energy in my household to change. So we just simply avoid it. Then personal discomfort. So not only thinking about the discomfort of the child, but we're also thinking about our own discomfort. Yes, exactly. I see your comment. That's Zoom, I think. Okay, yeah. Yes, all right. She says she avoids conflict. She just goes all out to avoid conflict. Totally true. Most times we find ourselves in those situations actually, especially when our children are older. We don't want to do that. Now let's get into the meat of the matter. The first thing on our list on how to have these difficult conversations. Number one is you want to start with the end in mind. So irrespective of what that conversation is geared towards, even if it has to do with the number one thing on the list, sexual immorality or sex education in itself, or if it has to do with gadget use, or if it has to do with the child failing in school academically, whatever it is, what do we want to, how do we want this conversation to go? What do we want from this conversation? So that is the question you want to ask yourself. How do I want it to go? Am I trying to teach the child? Am I trying to rebuke the child? Am I trying to discipline the child? What am I trying to do with this conversation? So at the end of this conversation, what do I want to achieve? So we need to spend time identifying what we want to achieve from the conversation. And then you prepare for it. So think about what it is that you want to achieve, and then you prepare for that conversation. In preparing for the conversation, several things come to play. Excuse me. So in preparing for this conversation, you want to think through the conversation. So preparing for it, take time to clarify your own thoughts. Think it through. Feel what it is you are feeling while you are thinking it through. So go through all of that before you initiate the conversation. Then you want to anticipate potential questions that will come from it, or potential reactions that might come from it. So prepare yourself to respond to those questions or to respond to any reaction that might come up. So it is necessary that we are ready for that. Then, once you know you have thought it through and gone through all of that, then you want to drive the conversation. So you yourself should drive that conversation. Don't hand over the conversation to your child to drive it. So because you already know how you want the conversation to go, then you are ready to drive that conversation. Okay? So prepare yourself. Think it through. Be ready. Be ready for any questions or any reactions that might come up. Number two, choose the right time and place. We honestly cannot jump past this one. You want to select a time when both you and your child are calm, relaxed, and free from distractions. So no matter what the aim of your conversation is, you want to ensure that this conversation is taking place when both of you are calm and relaxed, so that no party is on the defense, or no party will have their walls built up because they are trying to defend themselves, irrespective of what the topic is. So be free from distraction. There should be no form of distraction so that you have the child's full attention. Then you want to choose a private place where your child feels comfortable and safe to express themselves. So if it is a place where both of you usually have fun, a place where you play together, where there is no form of distraction, no one to interrupt, then you want to choose that place to ensure that it is a place where your child feels very, very comfortable and at ease. Then the third thing that we want to do, we want to communicate effectively. This now is the major conversation. Every other thing, number one and number two, they're like preambles. Yeah, preambles, they are getting you ready for it. So you think it through, you put everything, you anticipate anything and everything. So even if you are trying to rebuke or discipline a child, that's if you are trying to address a specific issue, or you're trying to break a news, or you're trying to teach, think it through. So that's you prepping yourself. Then you choose the venue, you choose the location, you choose the time. Now you are conversing. You are having this conversation with your child. So now the reason why communicating effectively is a very big deal is because we want to pay attention to certain things, to a lot of things, and catch as many things as possible. When communicating with our children, we want to ensure that we are putting their stage of development into perspective. I did not say their age, not their age, but their stage. Stage is simply speaking to how mature is your child? How mature is your child? That's what stage is speaking to. And that speaks also how we gauge the maturity level of our child is when we are able to see the level of control that we give to them. So running around daily activities, what level of control do you give or hand over to that child? And you can trust that that child will not betray that control. So we yield control in relation to the maturity stage of the child. So if the child shows very little or zero control, then we want to just yield it in just very little level of control. But if that child shows a high level of maturity, then you want to yield a higher level of control. So that's why we say stage and not age. Because if I say, if the child is still from age 0 to 5, then you should know. There are some 5-year-olds that are more mature than some 7-year-olds. Mature in mentality. There are some teenagers that are not as mature as some 9-year-olds. So it is you as the parent to decide and to gauge the maturity stage or the developmental stage of your child. Okay? So once you have tailored your conversation with regards to the developmental stage of your child, then you want to choose your words right. You want to ensure that you're communicating with the right terms that is due for that stage. You don't want to use certain words for a certain stage. When they are younger, you're speaking, if you want to talk about emotions to someone who is pretty young, you want to be talking only about happy, sad, excited, angry. That's the only thing they can get at that age for a toddler. You know, therefore, let's speak a little bit about the first point. For tailoring your conversation to your child's developmental stage, for early childhood, so talking about age 2 to 6, you want to use simple, concrete language. Remember, developmental stage is the maturity. So know where your child falls in. So if it's early childhood, you want to use simple language to explain concepts. Be as simple and down to earth as possible. Then focus on examples. Examples that drive the point home. Then you want to keep your conversation as brief as possible. You can't be conversing with someone whose their attention span is short for a long period. So you want to ensure that you are brief, very interactive, put a little bit of play if necessary, even if it is a serious conversation. You want to put in a little bit of play, okay? And then you want to tell loads of stories to buttress your point. Then you want to emphasize on emotions, on feelings, because that is what they understand in that stage. They don't understand the many big grammar and many words that we're speaking. They understand feelings better. Okay? Then we move to the next stage, which, if everything being normal, should comprise of the middle childhood, should comprise of age 7 to 11. Everything being normal, right? Remember, you are the one determining the stage of your child. So here now, you want to provide more detailed explanation. You are providing more details. You are still using age-appropriate language. Then you are encouraging curiosity from the things you say. So to encourage their curiosity, what do? We ask questions. Not just any kind of questions. We ask open questions. Open-ended questions are questions that makes us think. When you say something like, are you whatever, that's closed. So that child is not thinking. Closed means the response you get to that question is yes or no. But open questions are actually questions that need them to think before they respond. Oh, how was school today? That's a closed question. What do we get? Fine. Good. Okay. Just there. That's all we get. But when we say, oh, I bet something exciting happened in school today, share one of the exciting things that happened in school today with me. Or could you share with me your happiest moment in school today? That child is going to pause to think, was I even happy today in school? Okay, maybe I was happy, but why was I happy? The child is trying to think, really, really trying to remember a time that they were actually happy. Okay? So encourage curiosity by asking open questions. Then you want to validate your child's emotions and encourage them to express their feelings openly. And one of the ways to do this is you expressing yours first. So you express yours first, then they are free to express theirs. Then you want to offer reassurance, you want to offer support, you want to emphasize that difficult topics can be discussed openly without judgment. That's for the middle childhood. Then let's go to age 12 and above, or if your child falls within this developmental stage. You want to engage more in complex discussions about sensitive topics. Engage them more. So don't just come talking. Engage them more. Pick their brain. You want to know what they know. Pick their brain. That's why when it comes to sex education again, I say to people, it must be bite-sized. And when you come to teenagers or when you come to preteens and teens, you want to find out what do they know about it first before you start any form of conversation. Have you heard about this before? Some of the response you get is, yes, male and female. And you'll be like, okay, the child doesn't really know. So you know how to tailor your conversation. When they are older, they've been taught these things in school because they have done it in biology, whether we like it or not. They've done it in biology. So you either stick with the lessons that are for biology, which is the reproduction, stick with that teaching, or you go deeper if you know or you sense that your child knows more. You want to ensure that you're teaching them so that they know the do's and the don'ts, so that they know what they should be doing and what they should not be doing. Okay? So pick their brain. You want to pick their brain and you want to respect your child's, sorry, excuse me, pardon my throat. We'll do this. Don't worry. We're almost done. Hopefully. We're almost done. So you want to pick your child's brain to know what it is exactly that is happening there. Okay? Then also you want to respect your child's autonomy. You want to respect their privacy, but yet you want to involve them in having these discussions with you. So encourage independent thinking, encourage problem solving skills, but be prepared for any questions that will come up from these conversations. We're still looking at number 3, and then right now we're moving to the second point in number 3, which is now for us to choose our words and make them age appropriate. Choose your words and make them age appropriate. Now, for the younger ones, early childhood, much younger ones, you want to just, like I said before, just use simple language. When you're talking about emotions, you just want to say happy, sad, angry, to discuss feelings, just simple things for them to grab it. Then when you move to the next stage, for the middle childhood, you want to provide more detailed explanations using age-appropriate language. Always use examples and stories to illustrate the concept and encourage critical thinking. Then for the adolescents, the teenagers, the preteens, teenagers, young adults, you want to use more sophisticated language. So for them, you want to speak the language that they understand. So you want to really go down to their level and communicate using terms, using language that they will understand. Respect your child's ability to understand abstract concepts and encourage them to express their thoughts and opinions. Now, our next point, number 4, maintain calm and patience. My mantra when speaking to parents in handling anything at all: calm face, calm voice, calm body. When they know that you are calm, their mind is working, they're thinking, what's going through her mind? What's going through daddy's mind? They want to know. So they can sense and they can see your emotion. They know when you are just calm. How are you talking about this thing and having a straight face? I've committed something grievous, yet you are having this very calm face and calm demeanor. They are wondering, they begin to think, they try to understand what is going on. Okay? So you want to really have a calm face, you want to have a calm voice, and you want to keep and maintain calm body while having this conversation, especially when you begin the conversation and then they say something that makes your eye want to pop. So at that point, you don't want to give it away, okay? When they say something, just maintain your peace, just be calm. Because when your children can see that you are disappointed or you are surprised at what they have just said, guess what? They are going to not want to have that conversation with you another time. But when they know that you are accepting of them and their perspective and their contributions and the things that they have said, they will be more relaxed and they will willingly want to share. Then you want to take breaks if need be. Take as much break so that you do not give in to your own emotions. Take a break. It's okay to say, can I have 5 minutes and we'll come back to this conversation? So just hold your thoughts. Or you can give them a mini assignment. Say, oh, what will you do in this situation? I want you to come up with 3 things you will do. Or you tell them a story and say, think about the lesson you are going to learn from this story. And then you take a break. Take a break to breathe. Take a break to comport yourself and to compose yourself. And then you go back into having that conversation. Okay? Then number 5, we're doing well with time. We're going to be out of here soon. I'm happy. So number 5 says, handling reactions and emotions. We want to practice emotional regulation. You want to practice emotional regulation. And this particular topic, we're actually going to be having a webinar. It's not a webinar, a training for parents. It's emotional intelligence for parents, how to manage your emotions, quit yelling, and have a blissful home. So this is going to be taking place on the 23rd of February by 7 p.m. So if you want to be a part of it, just the red, if you can see the red button, just bit.ly/EI1, okay, to register for it. So this is very crucial in parenting. Trust me. You cannot parent if your EI quotient is lacking. Okay, so we want to ensure that we register for that event. So the first point in number 5 in handling our reactions and emotions says practice emotional regulation. You want to be able to, before engaging in a conversation, you want to take a moment to check with your own emotions. That was why that was one of the first things that we were supposed to do before going into the difficult conversation. Go through it in your mind. Think about it in your mind. Then you want to ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? Let me not go and have this conversation, then I'm feeling this way. Remember, you don't want to show disappointment because next time your child might not see that you are open to having such conversations. So when they see that you are disappointed, when they see that you are so vexed and anxious, they will not want to have that conversation with you. Or when they see that, you know about this, who taught you? Where did you hear it from? Where did you learn that from? Next time they will not own up that they know anything about it. So we don't want that to happen. So we will listen. They will shock us. They will disappoint us sometimes, but we have the ability to receive it. So you want to practice a lot of deep breathing. You want to practice a lot of mindfulness techniques just to center yourself and regulate your emotions before you go into this conversation. Okay? So self-regulate. Even when it happens, practice calm face, practice calm voice, practice calm body to self-regulate. Then the next thing is validate your child's feelings. So even when they've done something wrong, okay, it is possible that they feel bad about it. But guess what? They are children, especially when they are younger. Once that period is over, it's over. They're asking you the next minute, can I have this? Or can I watch my favorite TV show? And then you're wondering, this child that just committed this offense, don't you know that you should go and sit down and be thinking of your life? They don't have the capacity to. So don't even go there. Don't fight that battle. They do not have the capacity to think it through like that. So that's why you want to see through their eyes and understand with them. So understand what they're going through, understand what they're feeling, especially when they've done something wrong. Now, this is for teenagers. When your preteens or teens or young adults have done something really wrong, and this difficult conversation is to address what they have done wrong. What we want to do is to have a lot of empathy, because that child is possibly dealing with shame, dealing with shame, dealing with pain, dealing with regret. So we want to not pull the child lower than the child already is. Because if not, it will lead to several other things that we will now have to begin to look for therapy for that child. So yes, the child has done something wrong, but we will not throw away the baby with the bath water. So since we are not throwing away the baby with the bath water, what do we do? That brings number one back again. What do you want to achieve from this conversation? What is the aim of having this conversation with the child? Why do you need to have this conversation? And the child has done something wrong. I want the child to feel the pain that the child has caused me. Really, to what end? So even if that's your aim, then draft your talk towards that aim. But ensure that you know where that conversation is going, and be able to validate your child's emotions as you're having that conversation. Then be supportive. Once you are able to validate their emotions, then you be supportive of them. Sometimes it could even be trying to break the news of the loss of a loved one. You really want to be there for that child. You really want to help that child feel what the child is feeling, to help pull the child through. Okay? So be supportive. Even when the child has done something wrong, still be a pillar of support to that child. Even when the child has done something wrong, be a pillar of support to your child. Then, next thing, focus on solution. Irrespective of what they say. Remember, number one, the second point says, drive the conversation. Be in charge of that conversation. Don't let the child hijack the conversation. Be in control of it. So even when they talk, go this way, go that way, bring it back to the aim of the conversation. Even though some few tears will be shared, it's okay. It's a show of an emotion, and that's fine. Bring it back to the aim of that conversation. Because if not, you'll find out that you have been derailed by something else. The child saying one other thing, or something else coming up while having that conversation. And then the aim for having that conversation, we throw it away. We end up not delivering what it is that we want to deliver. So, irrespective of what comes up, take note of it. It might be another conversation for another day. So, just take note of it, but finish that conversation that you are having. Ensure you deliver the reason or the essence of that conversation. Then, when you know that this conversation is bigger than you, seek support. Get an extra hand to help you. I've had to intervene in several occasions when it has to do with a parent trying to have this kind of difficult conversations with their children. So the parent is there. I would have educated the parents on what they need to say. So my presence being there is just to be like an authority, nothing more. Because I would always love that that conversation comes from the mouth of the parent. Let the child be able to see the parent and be able to trust the parent as the support that they have. So that's why it is necessary that parents are the ones having that conversation with their children. Okay? And that takes us to the last point. We're doing well with time. I'm happy about that. So the last one says build trust and strengthen relationship. The overall aim of any difficult conversation should be this number 6. It should be part of the aim of the conversation. We don't want to destroy the home. We don't want to destroy the family. We don't want to scatter the relationship that exists between you and your child. So you need to ensure that you focus on building trust and strengthening relationship. That is why even in situations where I intervene as a third party, I don't do the conversing. I let the parent do the talking so that the child can build trust in you, and there you people can form and strengthen your own relationship together. I'm an outsider. I'm not a member of the family or the household. Okay? So it is necessary that whatever it is that you're saying with your child, you are driving it with the mindset that I'm going to build trust with my child. I'm going to strengthen the relationship that I have with my child. And in doing that, what you want to be doing is that you want to have this conversation in such a way, yes, it might be sensitive, but you want to respect your child and their perspective. You don't want to talk the child down. You don't want to make rubbish of their perspective on the subject matter, whatever it is. So you want to see through their eyes and be able to meet them at that point of their own understanding and perception. Then addressing challenging issues, you want to address it with all honesty. This is where one of the roles of having difficult conversations come into play. Be honest about the conversation. We don't want to tell lies because we don't know how the child will take it. Then we put in some lies. No. Irrespective of what we're talking about, we want to ensure that we're being honest as possible. Then when your child sees your honesty, they in turn will be honest. It's amazing how our children learn from us. They see and they do. They hear and they do. So they hear the things you say. They see the things you do. The things you are saying in those situations. They are learning that this is the way to have difficult conversation. So what you are going to be doing by doing that, being honest and understanding, see through their eyes, you are teaching them that, hey, we can always have these difficult conversations openly, okay? So what do you want to talk about? Bring it on. Let's talk about it. In some other homes, it's like it's a taboo. You did this? How? What? They are going to kill you today. But you've made your home such a safe haven. It's a safe space where your child can actually speak freely and speak openly. So that's what it is that you want to do. So that will make them know that, okay, I can talk about this to my mom. I can talk about this to my dad. Oh, I did this. Mom, I'm sorry I did this. I hope not to do it again. And you're like, tell me about it. What led to you doing that? And then they see that you are not attacking them, but you are attacking the situation because you are focused on solution and you do not want it to repeat itself again. So no matter what it is that you want to converse with your child, the loss of a loved one or the loss of a pet, not doing so well in their academics, and you don't want to make them feel uncomfortable with that conversation, use of devices, use of social media, um, sex education, whatever it is, ensure that it goes through this 6 steps so that you can have a wonderful conversation with your child. So, on that note, I hope this was helpful to us, and I hope that we found this pretty okay. Yes, please. Yes. Okay, I'm going to share it again. Sorry. Let me share that again. So, this is it. This is the emotional intelligence for parents. It's coming up on the 23rd of February. I'm thinking it's 2 weeks from now. I think so, 2 weeks from today. So just use bit.ly/EI number 1, capital E, small letter I, number 1, to register for it. There's an early bird up to 14th of February. So up to next week, Wednesday, you wouldn't be getting it for this price again. It would have changed to the original amount. So yeah, you want to take advantage of that. So thank you so much for joining this webinar. I want you to always remember that you are indeed a big deal. So you are a big deal at every point in time. I want you to remember that. And thank you so much for joining. Irrespective of our voice, we still did it. And this is something that we want to do as often as possible. So yeah, you want to. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much. I see from which platform is this? Sorry, I'm mixing my platforms up. Is this from Zoom? Okay, I see that. Oh, yes, from YouTube. Oh, you're welcome. You are highly welcome, sir. You made it. Thanks a lot for joining. So thank you so much. It's going to be up here on YouTube for as many of us that want to catch it. Then those of us that attended on Zoom, I will try to send you the link also on Zoom so that you can catch it on YouTube too. So thank you so much for being here, everybody. On that note, that brings us to the end of this live stream. See you next month for another webinar. Thank you. Bye-bye.